Converting leads into clients. Guys, this is a mega big topic, but it's really important. And also, it's got the potential to be quite a boring topic, and it can often get overlooked by small business owners. But what you need to know, and the reason you need to stay with this and work through this, is that when you get your conversion system right, it has the potential to multiply your profit very easily. So, just a reminder in the workbooks of the business growth formula. Leads times conversion is the number of customers. Times that by maximize customer value, which is its whole own little equation, is the profit. So, when we increase our conversion rate, it directly impacts on the amount of profit we're making. So, we want to be converting as many leads as possible into clients or customers. And actually, making fairly small tweaks to your conversion process can have a significant impact on the number of clients that you end up working with, and in turn can significantly boost your profit. So it doesn't matter how many leads you're bringing into your business, how many new leads. If they are not converting into clients or customers, then you're wasting your time. So it's just as important to focus on this area as it is on lead generation and maximizing customer value. Imagine you double your conversion rate. A lot of that increase is going to be pure profit for a lot of you because a lot of your costs are fairly fixed. Imagine you 10 times your conversion rate. Can you even imagine? So, hands up. Who watching this has something that they would call a conversion process, an actual process where you convert leads into clients? No? Some of you? If you don't, that's totally fine. And honestly, no is the common answer here. But what I want you to realize is that you might be losing a lot of clients that way. And what we're going to consider in this session is the process to take those potential clients through to give them the best experience and maximize their likelihood of becoming a client. Another thing for you to consider, who watching this actually tracks the leads coming into their business and their percentage that converts into clients? Some of you? Okay. If you're not tracking this, it would be great to track it. So I have a success tracker that is available on my website. And this is exactly, it's an amazing tool for tracking many, many things. But the pipeline and conversion section is exactly geared up for this. It keeps you on track with your follow-ups and it enables you to calculate your conversion rate so you can test different strategies and see what's working. Anyway, back to conversion process. I lose you, just checking we're recording there. So, by nature, our prospects are going to be cynical because there's a lot of businesses out there who are making big claims about how they can help the prospects. And honestly, they don't know who to trust. And this can be a massive barrier to them becoming a client of yours. So the key thing that you're looking to do in your conversion process is to create trust between you and the prospects, and to demonstrate enough value that they move to becoming a paying customer. So we're going to look at something called the rule of 7. You may have heard of this, you may not have, but the rule is that it takes an average of 7 interactions with your business before a sale occurred. And honestly, a lot of you are thinking, wow, I have like 1 interaction, I have 2, 3. Honestly, I doubt anyone or many people watching this have 7 interactions built in. And that's what we're going to look at here, is how do you systemize your sales process to have 7 positive points of contact with your customers or client. We're going to be looking at building in these positive points of contact. And the genius is that if you can build enough of these points of contact in before you ask for the sale, it can be a real win. And it's super simple to do, and it can be very inexpensive, often free. Some of these points of contacts will actually occur before the prospect makes contact with you. So it might be finding you in a Google search, visiting your website, seeing your social media page, maybe downloading your lead magnet. And actually the fortune is in the follow-up. So Thomas Publishing back in the day did some research and they found out that 50% of people give up after the first contact. 65% of people have given up by the second contact. 79.9% give up after the third contact. 89.8% give up after the fourth contact. But 80% of sales are made on the fifth contact. But only 10.2% of people are still following up. 94% of prospects will buy after the seventh contact. And guys, this blows my mind. This is a huge amount of missed opportunity. So how many times do you typically follow up with a lead yourself? Pause this, take a moment to think. I know I definitely don't do this well enough. And actually, if you're tracking your conversion rate and looking at your numbers to see what's working, it can be very common to overestimate our conversion rate. So I really recommend you track it because then you'll know when you make changes if it's working or not. So in your workbooks on page 2, there is a lovely little tracker, something very simple that you can use. You can duplicate this to track in your business month by month the number of leads coming in and the number of them converting into sales. And what I'd love you to look at is the table below that's filled out, because this illustrates that even a small increase in conversion rate can have a significant effect on profit. So this example illustrates a small business which has an average order of £500. It's just an example. Some of your average orders are going to be well above that. Some of them are going to be well below. It really doesn't matter. But imagine that they have 20 leads coming in on the average month. So this table shows, so the average order is staying the same and the number of leads is staying the same. But if you look at the table on the left, they are literally just showing increases in conversion rate. So if they converted 20% of their leads, with 20 leads coming in, they'd make 4 sales per month. At £500, that would be an annual income. So this is tracking those number of the average per month and looking at that, what that would bring in over the year. It would be 24 grand a year. Honestly, there'll be some people on this call that are like, I would freaking love an income of 24 grand a year. There's going to be others of you that are like, man, I need that income a month just to meet my overheads. Everyone's in a different place. Some people have massive overheads. Some people have barely anything. Next example, the 30% line. So this is adding just 10%, just a 10% increase in conversion. So it goes to 6 sales per month at £500. That brings your annual income up by 50%, up to 36 grand. If we increase again by 10%, so 40% conversion rate on 20 leads per month is 8 sales a month. It's actually doubled from initially, and it's taking you up to almost 50 grand a year in income. There's going to be people on this who are like, hell yes, that's where I'm going for. Others of you won't be so impressed, but you can see in the example, this stuff really makes a difference. So I'm going to skip through the 50% line, but imagine you increase your conversion rate to 60%. So when you have 20 leads coming in and you're actually converting 12 of those into sales, which is great, guys. That's really good. At £500 a month, the annual income, if you're averaging 12 sales a month, is going to be 72 grand a year. And this is all just through increasing the conversion rate. Have I got your attention? Yes. So, based on this example, who is now keen to put some energy into considering how they can improve their conversion rate? Hell yes. You can say it. I know I can't hear you, but give me a hell yes. Okay. So we want to be looking at the journey that our potential clients will go on and the various interactions they're going to have with us along the way. So first of all, let's consider our sales conversion system. Sounds scary, but honestly, it's just a series of logical steps from a lead being generated through to the sale being made. And the goal is to close as many sales as possible. Our prospect needs to hit a certain level of interest before they say yes. So they might start down here and need to get to here. And the aim of every interaction is just to move them gradually closer and closer towards this point. And without a proper system, it's likely that the points of contact aren't going to be a positive experience for them. They might actually be moving that individual further away from saying yes. So what I'd love you now to do is to consider the various points of contact you might have with a potential client. So it might be that there is an email where they're booking in a chat with you. Perhaps there's a letter going out to confirm it. Maybe you're having a meeting, a phone call, a Zoom meeting. Perhaps there's some WhatsApps. Every business is different, so it's going to vary for each of you. But just think about, where do you have those points of contact? And note them down. Pause this and note them down. So the key is to be persistent, but not too persistent. We don't want to piss anyone off. So it's a delicate balance. So we're about to map this out. So hopefully you've got noted down what you've already got in place. But we're going to consider, how do you make each interaction an increasingly positive experience for the prospect? It's going to look fairly similar for most service-based businesses. So for example, most people, you generate a lead, you have a meeting, you have that initial greeting, the full body of the meeting, and then the follow-up. It looks different for my trades clients often, and it looks different for domestic and commercial clients. So think about what it might look like for you. And we are considering now, we're on page 3 of the workbook. It says consider your own conversion system as the header under converting leads into clients. So the lead is generated. So this is going to look different for all of you. It may be that they've actually picked up the phone and got in touch. They might have filled in a form. They might have literally opted into a webinar. I don't know what it is. From here, you're going to make sure that you're collecting any contact details that you might need for the rest of this conversion process. So it might be that you plan to give them a call to just check in the day before, remind them of the meeting. If you do that, you want to capture their phone number. It might be that you're going to send something out in the mail before you meet. If so, I'd get their mailing address. But you also want to be wary that you're not collecting too much information so it puts them off coming through the process. So it's that balance. It's always a balance. So once the meeting is arranged, often you will be sending out an email confirming the details of the meeting. So it might be that you're sending out maybe an agenda, things that can make a really positive experience, are getting a very slick process. So I personally love it when your meeting is arranged and you just get a nice confirmation. It sends helpful information about maybe an agenda. These are the things that we'll be looking at, directions, and even better, parking instructions. My goodness, I booked on to a free workshop it was, and the amount of detail that was so helpful, and really set that person apart that came through on that detail. It literally told me what the nearest car park was and the app that I would need to use so I could download it in advance. For me, that was next level. That was so helpful. And it really helped that business to stand, like it really set it apart for me. Okay, so sometimes sending out a confirmation letter to confirm the meeting can be a really nice touch. It looks very professional, so you want to do it on headed note paper. Just get all of the key information. It's not necessary, it's really not necessary, but it can be a very simple thing to do that can make your business stand apart. Some people even go further. Along with the confirmation letter, they may send out a surprise package. So you can do this by email, or even better if it's done by post. So if it's done by email, it might contain something like video testimonials, maybe special reports, something that adds value to the person, and maybe contains some social proof. Or it might be, some case studies, and possibly even, a little physical something. So especially if you're going to be meeting virtually, if you send them out like, maybe a nice sachet of coffee and some biscuits or something for the meeting. It's not necessary, but it's just that little thing that elevates the interaction. And all of this links strongly back to the work we did on Moments of Truth. So if you haven't done that, all of it ties together. So have a think when if somebody's coming to you in person, what does their arrival look like? Who are they being greeted with? Maybe they're being greeted at reception. Maybe, maybe you're meeting them out and about. If they're coming to you, is there, is it really obvious where they can park? What you can do occasionally is actually put, as we did in Moments of Truth, that designated parking space for them, offering them a drink, having a little laminated drinks menu. Think then about the actual meeting itself. What presentation aids might you use to elevate yourself and your business to make it a more positive experience? So it might be that you, as part of your PowerPoint, you have a couple of short video testimonials. You might be able to add in powerful guarantees that take the risk off the client and put it back onto you. And think as well about just asking for the order. So we'll be looking at this towards the end of the session in more detail. And then after the meeting, so how do you follow up? I think 90% of you are going to be thinking, I don't. And this is where a lot of sales are lost. So it might be that actually for you, this is the time to send out a surprise and delight package. Maybe it's a little follow-up letter, a handwritten card. That's something I'll touch on in a moment that I love to do. Maybe it's a phone call. But whatever the outcome of the meeting is, keep in touch, because they may not be ready right now, but you want to be staying in their mind until they are ready. And for each stage, each touch point, I want you to be considering, what is the goal here? What's the objective? So it might just be courtesy and making, letting them know what happens next. It might be just making it as easy as possible for them to find you in the first place. It might be inviting them to take an action. So in each of these steps, you want to be considering the timeline. What type of contact is it going to be? And is it possible to script and elevate each step? And with all of this, over time, we want to be testing, measuring, and improving. So if you flick to the workbook on to page 4, consider your own conversion system. Just map through the steps there. Take 10 minutes or so, really put some thought into this. Think about what does your system look like? What are the touch points? And how can you elevate each interaction to make it a more and more positive experience for the client? So pause here and consider. Okay, so I'd love to share a bit about my own conversion system. And honestly, it's still not perfect. I'm not sure I'll ever get to perfection, but I've tried to build in positive touch points. So the initial stages are my email funnel from my lead magnet. So I've driven people, I've met networking into there. They enter my funnel because they get a free month start strategy, accountability, and planning workshop. From there, they get 4 emails sharing something of value. So they're blogs that I've written, videos and business growth techniques, information about my business, and they're invited to book a free 30-minute discovery call. Some people just book the discovery call direct. Some people, before they've even got to that stage in the funnel, they've attended the month start call and they've booked it directly off the back of that. So I plan to follow up my discovery calls, sharing video testimonials from happy clients by email. Haven't actually recorded these yet, so that is still the plan. But what I have done so far is I actually send out a handwritten card. It's a card with an encouraging message on the front. You are capable of amazing things. I've got them ordered in bulk as postcards. They used to be physical cards. I quite like the postcards now. And I send them some little treats in it. It's a nice individually packaged tea bag. And I am a big fan of sending out those little green and blacks chocolates because they're very postable and they're delicious. So on that handwritten note, I thank them for their time and I just encourage them as to their potential, assuming I want to work with them. And if I don't, I just offer to introduce them to one of my competitors if I'm not the right fit for them. I've also systemized in my pipeline where each of my prospects are at. So I can follow up in a couple of months and just check in, share more value, and keep building that relationship. There's also the potential to share a limited time offer. It's not something I personally do, but it's something I could do if I was, desperately wanting more clients. And actually, none of that was hard. Even the email funnel was surprisingly easy. And you can look back to our previous topic on customer contact systems, I think lead magnets. And it's something I'm going to keep tweaking and improving over time. But you can see that having this system, it just makes you look more professional. It makes you stand out. It builds relationship and it makes the whole process a bit easier. And it helps you to ensure that no one falls through the net for lack of follow-ups. So, sources of leads. If your leads are coming from one single face, your business is super vulnerable because if anything happens to that source of leads, it is known as the single point of failure. So imagine, for example, and it's rare now these days, but if you use Facebook as a main source of leads, a few years ago, Facebook made an overnight change to business accounts, and literally overnight, businesses who'd been solely reliant on Facebook for new business entirely lost that option and many of them went bust. Similarly, Instagram, one of my original Success Club clients, Meg, she had her Instagram blocked. She had 5,000 followers and she had to start a new account from scratch. And it could happen to any of us. I know a lot of my clients are big fans of BNI, which is amazing. It works really well. But there's actually no guarantee that referral-based marketing clubs like that won't become illegal in the future, or you might lose your seat or for whatever reason get blocked out of that network. They're all very unlikely examples. All I'm saying is future-proof so that you aren't reliant on just one source of leads to fill your pipeline and bring income to your business. So this is a great reason to build your mailing list, which we discussed a few sessions back, and keep the email addresses somewhere safe and regularly updated. But over time, you're going to be looking to develop 4 to 6 different sources of leads coming in. And it might be from networking, client referrals, official referral partnerships, social media, sometimes paid advertising, email marketing, Google, your website, directory listings. There's so many options. And this might seem like a lot, but as your business grows and you grow your teams over time, this keeps your business future-proofed and sustainable. Okay, so back to focusing on conversion process. So as I said before, the key thing in the conversion process is to build trust and help your client to move past any objections until they're ready to work with you. So we've looked at the rule of 7, the idea that it takes an average of 7 interactions before a sale occurs. And we want to have a systemized process to build positive interactions and have enough of them before we ask for the sale. So now we're going to look at a variety of conversion techniques that you can use to help to convert the sale. These happen at different points in the customer journey, and they often cost very little or sometimes nothing to implement. Checking we're still recording okay. So for each of these, I'd like you to consider how you might use that technique in your own business to improve conversion, to improve the number of clients that you have, and ultimately the profit that you're making. None of them are things that you have to use, but as we go, just be open-minded and consider what could work well in your business. So technique number 1, and these are in the workbook. Bringing myself up to the right place in the workbook. So technique number 1, making it all about the client. So the focus of everything we're doing here needs to be on the potential client and their problem rather than you as the solution. So make all of your conversations about them, not about you. This is going to blow some of your minds. It's simple, but it's effective. So make it a conversation about their needs and their struggles, not a sales pitch monologue. Share your expertise to help solve their problem, but they should be talking at least 50% of the time. So make it a slow, relaxed process to help them to share what they're looking for and where they want to get to. Does this make the conversion process seem less scary to anyone? It's literally just a conversation about the client's problems and how to solve them. Who here already takes this approach? Awesome if you do. If not, simple tweaks to make. How to Build a Brand Story is an amazing book by Donald Miller, and he suggests positioning the client as the hero and you're the guide, helping them along their adventure to where they want to be. And this is such a powerful way of communicating with clients because they are not looking for someone to swoop in and be like, oh, I'm amazing, I'm going to fix all your problems. Much better approach is, you're amazing, what you're doing is awesome. I know how I can help you get this amazing goal that you've got. It's all in the positioning. And actually, this leads us on to some tools described by Alan Dibb in his book, The One-Page Marketing Plan, which I'm a big fan of. So he talks specifically about positioning. So this is a technique that starts before the lead is generated, and it's all to do with how you position yourself in the market. And he uses the example of Joshua Bell. So this is something you may have seen on the news, like quite a while ago now. Joshua Bell is a violinist. He is top of his game. He's usually paid more than £1,000 a minute when he plays, and he plays on a $3.5 million or pound violin. So he was playing a concert, but actually around the concert, he played busking in a subway as part of an experiment. Guess how much he made in the 1 hour that he was playing in the subway? $32. I think it was in Australia near the Sydney Opera House. I might be wrong, but I think so. And this is all to do with positioning, because people passing him busking, they weren't expecting to hear a world-class violinist. They weren't, you know, he wasn't positioning himself as this expert. He was positioning himself as somebody who is struggling to make a living, basically just busking to try and make some extra cash. So I highly recommend positioning yourself as a premium product or service because you attract a much higher quality of customer. If you position yourself as a commodity and you compete on price, business can be hard. But if you can position yourself as somebody who is sought after and offering a premium product, things can become much easier. So obviously you need to be aware of what this looks like with your specific market, and indeed if there's actually a market for the premium products, and then consider the numbers. Often, if you're charging more, you can actually work with significantly less clients and make more profit, but work less hours. Hands up, I can't see it, but hands up if anyone wants to make more and work less. I think that was all of you. So there's an amazing example in his book about a PT who went from scrounging for clients, working antisocial hours, just trying to survive. This PT, what does a PT stand for? Personal trainer, like a sports trainer. He positioned himself as a PT to extremely wealthy businessmen, and he branded himself as such. He added a huge amount of value into the work that he did, and he built his brand and positioned himself. He now has a 6-month waiting list. He travels the world and works with just a few select clients at any point in time who pay him extremely well for his services. The job he's doing isn't massively different. The value he adds is probably up here rather than down here, but it's all in the positioning. Anyone thinking hell yes when they hear that? Awesome. So let's have a think. How do we do this in practice? What might this look like in your business? Pause and just note down any ideas that you have. So pause the video. Okay, so I think this is in the workbook. Let me just, oh, it's not. So you're going to want to make some notes on it. The 6 pillars of a premium business. The higher your prices, the better quality will be assumed. So your price, the price point that you sell yourself at is an indication of your quality. Having a premium looking website suggests a premium business. So if your website looks rubbish, you're probably going to struggle to land premium clients. And again, having quality and confidence in your branding, your visuals. So how you know, the look and feel of your brand, and your quality and confidence in your product and your service. How you showcase yourself as standing out from the crowd, so your USP. Having proper branding, so quality logos, brochures, any collateral, having proper brand photos so that if your face is on it, you look good. And also limiting the number of options that the client has. So they have 2 to 4 great options. Okay, so that's the 6 pillars of a premium business. So the next conversion tool we're going to look at is how to add value and create trust and basically become a welcome guest rather than a pet. And it's another tool that Alan talks about in his book, The One-Page Marketing Plan. Brilliant book, by the way. So Alan talks about the difference between a family friend and a door-to-door salesperson ringing the doorbell at dinner time and how we feel about each. Honestly, anyone rings the door at dinner time, I'm a bit annoyed, but it's the example he uses. The family friend, we welcome them in, we invite them to join us for dinner. You know, we want them around. It's a good feeling. The salesperson, honestly, we are irritated, sometimes, you know, even to the point of being aggressive, like, what are you doing interrupting my dinner? When honestly, I think I have that with anyone, but yeah, I've got young kids. The salesperson is a pest. They're uninvited and they're irritating. Whereas the family friend, they're welcome guests, they're valued, they're invited in. And in our businesses, we need to be showing up as the welcome guest. a trusted and valued friend. And this is really going to help you convert in your business. So slow down your sales process. Stop chasing the sale and look to build relationship instead. Share value and educate your prospect to build trust. Offer them a free report, a webinar, a video, something that educates them about the problem they have. Show them that you are giving before you take, before you're asking for anything. And position yourself as an educator, as an expert in the field, because this helps to break down sales barriers. Anyone relieved to know that the goal is not to be a pushy salesperson, but to become a trusted advisor with your prospect's best interests at heart? How does that sound? So you want to be becoming the expert in your industry, a consultant advisor, and your business is going to soar. So you want to be consulting, educating, and advising on the benefits of your product in your industry. So how do you do this? And what does this look like in practice? How do you position yourself as this trusted expert and guide? Pause and have a think about this for a couple of minutes. And actually, we're going to look at this much, much more in our next topic, dominating your niche. It's a mega topic. Sorry, guys, but it's golden, absolutely golden. So basically, you want to be showing up and sharing value. So think about, what does this look like for you? What value could you share? And where can you be doing this? So speaker slots. Who is doing these? Who is getting themselves speaking on networking events? Perhaps it's guesting on other people's podcasts. Who's doing this? Who's considered it? So you want to have a topic that is all about value. So something that you can become known for, that isn't widely known, that is simple. It solves one simple problem, and it adds value to your audience. Then you've got going live. So this would be on your own social media, on LinkedIn. I've still not figured out how to do this, but it's doable. I've seen people do it on Instagram and on Facebook. And then newsletters. You know, we've already looked at how to build and grow your newsletter. Great place to showcase your authority and share value. Doing PR. So writing, maybe it's like guest articles or getting press, getting in the press as an expert. We're going to have a whole separate topic on this, a guest expert. Then you've got blogs. These are hosted on your website, and a great place for you to look at one particular topic and just showcase your knowledge. And again, great things to be sharing. Articles, again, links back to the PR. Getting involved in conversations on social media, helping to showcase your knowledge and your value. And just being authentic. So let people know you, help them to like you and trust you. So I'd love you to consider, what value do you have to share? How can you help to educate your target market and position yourself as an expert? So one of my PR clients, she shares on the 5 stages of visibility, and how do you get yourself visible? What are the 5 areas that you want to be considering? Perfectly, it leads into a whole paid process that she can take you through. So I love sharing on the simple secret to grow your business, helping to break down the myth that business growth is complicated, and hopefully inspire people to go away and make some small tweaks in their own business. Some of my accounting clients, they like to share on, what are the key things you need to know about choosing an accountant. I'm not sure that's very inspiring. I'm trying to think what they do. Oh, I don't know. But think for yourself, what value do you have to share? How can you help educate your target market and position yourself as an expert? So pause and think. Gosh, this is a long topic, guys. Going to keep pushing through. So then we've got building credibility and trust. This may well still be from Alan Dibb, I think it is. So most consumers prefer to buy from bigger businesses. They know they're not necessarily going to get that amazing service that they might get from a smaller business, but a lot of them have been burnt in the past and they want a safer choice. So they might want to sacrifice on that personal service for the safety of a bigger, better known brand. And because of this, it's actually increasingly important to build a credible brand that consumers can have confidence in, looking bigger than you are. And honestly, so many small businesses I know have absolutely nailed this. Oh gosh, somebody, I don't know them personally, but I heard the quote. It was also quite a racist quote, but it was said by like a Nigerian guy, but he said, oh, you want to look like your company is run by a big board of white men. So as a woman, I hated it. As someone who's like married to someone from a different country, I hated it. But yeah, he is somebody who built his brand to look massive when in reality it was just him behind it, and he did very well from it. Sad state of the world. I hope that doesn't offend anyone. I'm just sharing a perspective. But yeah, building a business that looks bigger than just you if you are a solopreneur. So technology is on your side for this. You can ensure that your website looks professional and it's got a proper business address. So no using a PO box. Ideally, don't use your home address, because you can actually there's a lot of like law firms and accountancy firms that will let you use their registered address for about £100 a year. Have a privacy policy. You need this. It is the law, but all the small tick boxes. Have your own domain name as part of your email address. Yes, I personally love Gmail, and my domain does link to a Gmail, but it has a proper domain because it just looks unprofessional. Some businesses may need a dedicated national toll-free phone number. Others need specifically a local number if they're running a local business, and some people mobile is fine. A good CRM system can also be super valuable for small businesses, or a ticketing system if your business deals with multiple inquiries. So all of these are little things that are easy to do, and they make your business look more credible, and they can build the trust of potential clients. So my question here is, where do you need to up your game? Harsh question, but where are you letting yourself and your business down? Do you know? Make some notes if you do. If you're not sure, who could you ask that would give you an honest opinion? So knowledge is power, and when you realize it, you can really easily make a change. So think about, what do you need to improve? So mine used to be my email address. I actually used a Gmail address for the first couple of years of my business. Yeah. Very easy to sort out, really not very expensive. And it was just such a simple thing that massively elevated, rather than whatever the opposite of elevating, like de-elevating. I actually had some feedback as well. Oh my goodness, probably 3 years ago now. I'd had a call with this amazing lady. Somebody actually referred her to me because she thought she could benefit from the program I was running, whereas in reality, she could run the program. And she was an individual who was in marketing and branding, and she'd actually branded, national railway companies and countries like Jersey. She's incredible. We had this amazing chat. We just totally vibed. And yeah, yeah, obviously she was never going to do my thing. And I said, look, we shouldn't have been introduced for this. I'm so sorry. But we had a lovely chat. And she sent me an email afterwards. And I'm so glad she did. But the email was basically like, this is a really hard email to write. I feel like I need to send it because I really value you. And I feel like you need to hear this. You are up here. Your branding and your website and all of your collateral are down here. You need to sort that shit out. The summary of what she said. And I did. I needed that kick up the ass. The first 30 seconds after hearing that, I almost cried. And then I was like, she's completely right. I've done all this stuff myself. It was fine 2 years ago, but it's not very good. So I sorted it out and my business has taken off. So whatever it is for you, think about what's letting you down and then go get it sorted. Okay, so systemizing. You've got to make sure you have a system in your conversion. So many sales get lost because people aren't following up properly. So we need to do the hard work rather than expecting the potential client to do it. So make sure you follow up on a lead immediately because they're probably about to buy. They may well be about to buy. So they may, if you delay, they may well buy from your competitor. So have a systemized form of contact with a value add ready to go. So it might be a phone call, it might be an email to schedule a phone call. Ask yourself what it is. Think as well, like what's the value add? Is it maybe sending like a video by email, something that, you know, maybe you've recorded and just like adds a bit of value to them, maybe sharing a blog post? Is actually sending something physical out in the post? So think about what that might be and how can you add value and ensure that that contact is a positive experience. Think as well about how do you track leads? Are you tracking leads? What is the process that you're taking people through? And how do you ensure that you follow up? So we mentioned this earlier, but it's essential to be following up and have a system to be following up with anyone who doesn't immediately become a client, because so many of the no's are actually not yets. And if you don't follow up, you may well lose them to a competitor. So what happens to the people who say no or not right now? Are you keeping in touch? Pause and have a think and make some notes. Okay, another very interesting conversion technique, and this is by a guy called Daniel Priestley. I'm not sure if you have heard of him. He wrote Key Person of Influence. He also wrote the book Oversubscribed. He's actually relatively local, I think originally from New Zealand, but used to live not far from Ken. I don't think he does anymore. So his book Oversubscribed has some interesting ideas in relation to positioning and conversion. So he talks about how to get your business oversubscribed so that when you release products, everything is snapped up immediately. So a brief summary of some of the ideas that he shares. There's so much competition in the world that the idea is you want to carve out a tiny niche and create a loyal customer base that's desperate to get their hands on a limited supply of the products. So you're looking to achieve popularity and scarcity. You do this by carving out your own niche in the market, and then you disrupt the market by being more innovative, for example, iPhone, or more convenient, for example, Amazon, or subscription items, or less expensive, which for you guys, I don't think you're big enough for that, so don't recommend that option. And you want to manufacture desire by creating exclusivity and a special customer experience. So the whole idea of this is that people want what other people have. And he uses the example of Galeries Lafayette. So this is a luxury shop in Paris that doesn't have to spend time or money on advertising. At this shop, there is an exclusive Chanel handbag counter where one customer at a time can buy the latest handbag. There is a massive line and people literally queue in line to have a moment to stand at that handbag counter and get that special treat bag treatment. So yeah, you can buy a handbag from anywhere. There'll be people literally, around in Paris selling knockoffs of those same handbags. But people want this exclusive, luxury, special customer experience. They have nailed it. You want to be a business that people talk about as well. There's so much more value in a happy customer sharing about their experience than an advert. And the key idea that follows is to share updates and build anticipation about a new release to get the customers to subscribe to ready. So you can tap into this kind of excitement and anticipation through something that's known as customer signaling. So I want you to think of Glastonbury, the festival. All year round, people can sign up for updates and a chance to get advance tickets to the annual 3-day concert festival. Every year, the lineup of musicians is teased, they build until finally they release early bird tickets. At this point, they have 350,000 subscribers frantically trying to buy something like 120,000 early bird tickets that sell out in minutes. Customers are delighted to be part of something unique and limited. And they're like on, it's in their calendar, they're showing up, they're buying instantly. And honestly, I think this is part of why Glastonbury is always sold out and it's such a success. So you can ask people to signal if they're interested, sometimes for free, sometimes you take a small deposit to be on the list ready for the release. The key thing is you want to build a list that's multiple times bigger than the availability that you're going to release. So then you can signal that you're oversubscribed and share that you have, 50 people interested in only 20 spaces, because people hate to miss out. So if they know that 50 people want the spaces, they want to snap one up themselves. And this can easily convert prospects into clients and fill those 20 spaces, which might have otherwise been a lot trickier to do so. So this can work really well for events, for memberships, anything that's got an element of exclusivity. So have a think. Have you used these principles before? Or have you seen them used somewhere before? Have a think about how you could apply this in your business. So back when I ran this course as a program over the year, I used to build a wait list because I only had 10 spaces available in each cohort. So yeah, getting people to sign up in advance to be eligible to take a place when it was available. So let's think about pricing. So this is a really interesting thing to consider, and it links back to what I talked about in positioning. So pricing your product or service is always a challenge for any business owner, and there's no right answer. You need to consider your target market and think about what would they be looking for, and then price accordingly. So you can always undercut the competition, but it's a race to the bottom. It's a quick way to drive yourself out of business. So actually be thinking instead, how can I add value and justify a higher price point? So positioning yourself as an expert in the field can help you to convert more easily at a much higher price point. And most people buy on value rather than on price. So be thinking about how can you pack your offer full of value at little inconvenience to yourself. And yet the people who want the best price, they are there. Honestly, they're around, but they're probably going to be your most difficult pain in the ass clients. The ones who pay very little and take up a lot of your time. If you think back to the work we did on target market and that quadrant, can't remember, Boston Consulting Matrix, they are going to be the clients that you want to sack anyway. So don't shoot for them. With any low price offer, people have doubts. They wonder if it's good quality, they're going to be hesitant. But when they see somebody charging a lot, they automatically assume that you are at the top of your game. So if you're charging more, ensure that the value you offer matches your client expectations of that price point so that you have a happy customer. And actually look at the marketing essentials we covered at the start of Success Club to showcase your value. So think about your target market, your USP, a guarantee, social proof, features and benefits, and irresistible offer. And as with anything in business, test and measure your prices. So adjust them, tweak them, and see what the response is. So it might be that you price 10 customers at this price, the next 10 a bit different, whatever way that is. What you're looking for is the price point that gives you the highest customer lifetime value, the price that generates the most sales and generates the most profit. So be sure you're tracking your numbers. And often, even if you put your prices up by 10%, your profit's going to rise significantly. And so sometimes you might actually be making less sales, but you're making more profit. So knowing your numbers will give you this information to help to work out what works best. So some questions for you to consider. Are these in the workbook? Not in the workbook, but you've got a space to make some notes. I'd love you to consider, how did you decide what to charge? And how does this compare to your competition? How could you add more value to your offering? Have you tested different price points? How would it be to raise your prices by 10% or 20%? And is there any value you need to add to your offering to justify doing this? What value can you pack in to make it worth it? So, final thing I want us to think about, teeny but powerful tool, ask for the sale. There are so many simple phrases you can use. Shall we go ahead? Shall we book our first session? Are you ready to move forwards? Would you like to secure the space? Would you like my help? I can get you started on the 17th. I can get you started next week. Simple one-liners. So find one that works for you, practice, get comfortable saying it, and use it. And remember, if your prospect doesn't convert, keep in touch, because they might not be a no, but they might be a not right now.